If you wanna watch me get super judgy, put a bowl of butternut squash soup in front of me. I will have opinions. All of them will probably not be great, which is exactly why I developed this recipe, because it is my idea of perfection for butternut squash soup. I'm gonna show you how to make it. First step, world's best butternut squash soup, you have to roast the butternut squash. So don't mess around with your knife size here. You want a big, sharp knife. So go ahead and cut off the top, slice it in half. You gotta put some muscle in it. You'll need 2 smallish butternut squash. It's about 4 pounds. Once it's cut in half, then just take a spoon and you can scrape out this bottom little circle section. So you just take that stuff away and then just scrape it out until it's nice and smooth. Here's where the next goodness level comes in. Once they're cut, just put them on a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. That's just to save you a mess cleanup. And then brush them with some melted butter. Use about 2 tablespoons. It adds a little bit more depth and rich flavor to the soup and to the squash. This recipe is not hard. It's just requires some think ahead time. Like, you're not gonna come home from work and whip this up. The squash has to roast for about an hour to be nice and tender. And of course, you can do that ahead of time. You can do that earlier in the day or even the day before and keep it in the fridge. But while this is roasting, we could do some other things to build out our soup. Once the butter's on, then I'm just gonna sprinkle it with some kosher salt and some fresh ground pepper. So you'll know when it's done when you stick a fork in it, and it should be tender throughout. It should be really tender. You can't really over bake it, I mean, to the point where it's burning, but do about an hour to hour and 15 minutes. So while our squash is roasting, I'm gonna go ahead and start the rest of the soup. Melt a tablespoon of butter and then just add a half onion that's chopped, and then 1 apple that is peeled and chopped, and then just saute that for about 7 to 10 minutes until everything's nice and soft and the onions are translucent. Once these are nice and soft, because this is going to get blended up, so you want them nice and soft, then we're going to add the spices, and this is where this recipe just nails it. So this is like the balance of the sweetness and savoriness and a little bit of heat. So 1/4 of a teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/4 of a teaspoon of ground ginger, 1/4 of a teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/2 a teaspoon of curry powder. Now, if you're a fan of more curry, this is not a real word, obviously, but currier soup, so you can up your curry amount. 1/2 a teaspoon of sage, and this is where else you can divert. Cayenne pepper. I think the soup needs a little bit of heat, so I would go either like 1/8 up to, even if you like it spicy, 1/2 a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. And then just mix that all up with the onions and apples just to toast the spices too. All right, now we're ready to assemble everything in the blender. So I baked this butternut squash earlier just so I had time to cool, because it is going to be smoking hot when it comes out of the oven. So that's another part that you kind of have to plan ahead for. And then it should just like come off the skins really easy. It's nice and tender. And then we just put everything in the blender. All of our butternut squash is in the blender. To that, I'm going to add our sauteed apple, onion, awesome spice mixture. And then we're gonna add the liquid to it just to help blend this up. We're gonna add a little bit more things once we move it to the pot, but I have a cup of apple cider. If you can't find apple cider, you could do apple juice. But once again, we're incorporating that sweetness in there. And then just 1 cup of water, and finish off with 1/2 a tablespoon of brown sugar, or you could do pure maple syrup too. Just blend that until it's nice and smooth. At this point, it's going to be thick. That's fine. We're gonna finish it off on the stove. We're gonna thin it out with a couple other ingredients. But what you're looking for is for it to be nice and smooth and creamy. It's like, it's got baby food vibes right now, but trust, It's going to be delish. Once it's back on the stove, this is just, well, two reasons. One is to heat it back up, so you're gonna eat it, and then also to get it to the right consistency. So here's when you add in the broth. So start with 1 cup, mix that in, and this is like where you channel how thick or thin you want your soup to be. But before you add more broth, the last thing you're gonna do, just the magicness that's gonna pull this all together, 3/4 of a cup of full fat coconut milk. So stir that in. You could adjust any seasoning if you want more heat, if you need a little more salt or pepper or anything. And then think about your consistency. If you'd like it a little thinner, then you can add more broth to it. So typically, if you follow me and you're familiar with my recipes, this kind of isn't usually my vibe. I'm not one to go from roasting to stovetop to blender to all of that, but like I said, this soup is my idea of heaven, so I just want to make sure that I just nailed it on all fronts. So please give it a try and let me know what you think. I bet you thought I was done with this soup. I'm not. We gotta talk about building out the perfect soup bowl. Put some velvety creaminess in your bowl. Then for topping options, I like to do some salted pepitas, some pumpkin seeds, a little dollop of yogurt, and then some fresh sage. Some other options are crispy shallots or bacon or prosciutto would be good. If you go to the recipe, I have other serving ideas there. Please, please, please make the soup and let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.